Welcome to this full RetAssure product demo. In the next few minutes, we will walk through the app the way a household might use it, starting from sign in, opening a retirement scenario, reviewing the main planning inputs, testing what-if questions, and generating outputs that can support a more informed planning conversation. RetAssure is a retirement planning workspace, not just a calculator. It helps organize the moving parts of retirement: household timing, assets, income, expenses, healthcare, taxes, withdrawal strategy, risk, and reporting. The goal is to turn a vague question like, "Will this plan work?" into a structured scenario that can be reviewed and adjusted. After signing in, users land on the dashboard. This is the home base for saved scenarios. A scenario is one version of a retirement plan, so a user can keep a baseline plan, make a copy, and then experiment with different retirement dates, spending levels, Social Security timing, or withdrawal strategies without losing the original. RetAssure also includes starter templates. A user can start from scratch, choose a near-retirement template, model an already retired household, explore early retirement, or open a sample plan. Templates matter because retirement planning has many inputs, and a realistic starting point helps the user understand the workflow before personalizing every assumption. Every major authenticated view includes a guide. The guide explains what to do on the current screen, why the inputs matter, and how RetAssure uses the information. This is designed to reduce friction for users who understand their life but may not know planning terminology like taxable basis, required minimum distributions, or withdrawal sequencing. Now we will open a sample scenario. Notice that the scenario has a name, a saved status, and a plan status. RetAssure distinguishes between missing information, inputs that are intentionally zero, and a scenario that is ready for review. That helps avoid false confidence when important assumptions still need attention. The overview gives a quick read on the plan. It summarizes whether the portfolio appears to last through the projection, shows headline metrics like ending portfolio, lifetime taxes, and total withdrawals, and highlights completeness across the planning sections. This is the place to orient before changing details. The My Info section defines who the plan is for. Users can model one person or a couple, enter names and birth dates, set retirement ages, choose lifespan assumptions, and provide state context. These details drive the projection horizon and help RetAssure label person-specific fields clearly throughout the app. Next is assets. RetAssure models major retirement account buckets separately: taxable accounts, tax-deferred or pre-tax accounts, Roth accounts, and cash or CDs. That separation is important because each bucket has different tax treatment, growth assumptions, and withdrawal implications. Within assets, the taxable cost basis is tracked separately from the taxable balance. That allows RetAssure to estimate embedded gains when taxable assets are sold. The app also tracks growth assumptions by account type, so changing a balance or return assumption updates the projection instead of sitting as a disconnected spreadsheet value. Income covers the resources that may reduce the amount withdrawn from savings. RetAssure models Social Security by person, including start age and cost of living assumptions. It can also include pensions, annuities, rental income, other recurring income, and windfalls. Social Security timing is one of the most meaningful retirement levers, especially for couples. RetAssure keeps person 1 and person 2 separate so the user can review each benefit and start age individually. If a user expects no Social Security, the app supports explicitly confirming that instead of leaving the field ambiguous. Expenses are split into lifestyle spending, healthcare, inflation, and major one-time costs. That structure matters because the same annual spending number can hide very different planning realities. RetAssure separates pre-Medicare healthcare from post-Medicare healthcare because early retirement bridge years can be much more expensive. Major one-time expenses can also be modeled. A user might include a home renovation, vehicle purchase, wedding support, travel goal, or another large cost. By putting those costs into the year-by-year projection, RetAssure can show how timing affects withdrawals and balances. Tax settings are central to the product. RetAssure estimates federal ordinary income tax, capital gains tax, state income tax, the taxable portion of Social Security, and required minimum distribution assumptions. Taxes affect gross withdrawals, after-tax cash flow, lifetime taxes, and the final report. RetAssure uses a built-in tax engine for the normal calculation path. The tax settings are visible because assumptions should not be hidden. Users and advisors can review the state, bracket assumptions, capital gains handling, Social Security taxable rate, and RMD start age instead of treating taxes as a black box. Withdrawal strategy is one of the most important RetAssure features. Instead of forcing the user to guess which account to draw from first, RetAssure presents a recommended strategy and explains why it was selected. The recommendation considers taxes, account types, required minimum distributions, and the projected result. Users can also compare alternatives. Some households may care most about minimizing lifetime taxes, while others may prioritize legacy value, safe spending, or a more conventional withdrawal order. Advanced controls allow a user to manually choose a sequence when they want to test a specific strategy. The review area brings the calculation together. Once the core inputs are available, RetAssure creates a year-by-year projection across the household planning horizon. It calculates income, spending, withdrawals, taxes, and ending balances, and it surfaces warnings when the plan needs review. The review section is also where planning risk becomes easier to discuss. Instead of looking only at one ending balance, users can inspect charts, annual details, and validation messages. The intent is to make the output explainable enough for a household, advisor, or planner to discuss together. What you need compares the current scenario against an estimated savings need. This helps answer a practical question: if the current plan is short, how large might the gap be? If the plan is on track, it gives the user a clearer sense of the margin available under the current assumptions. The what-ifs view lets the user test changes without overriding the baseline. For example, they can reduce expenses, raise expenses after retirement, change average return assumptions, or test other planning levers. The chart compares the current ending portfolio against the selected what-if result. Because only the selected what-if is applied to the chart, the user can stay oriented. This is intentionally different from editing the scenario itself. What-if testing is for fast comparison, while scenario editing is for saving a durable version of the plan. The market risk simulator focuses on sequence risk. A household may have a reasonable average return assumption, but a poor market period early in retirement can still create pressure. RetAssure lets users model a temporary lower return stress period and compare it with the baseline projection. Lifetime income projection shows annual income sources across the retirement horizon. This can include Social Security, pensions, annuities, employment income, rental income, portfolio withdrawals, and any projected shortfalls. Seeing income by year helps the user understand which resources are funding each phase of retirement. Lifetime savings projection focuses on balances, contributions, withdrawals, and investment returns across account types. The point is not just to show a final number, but to show the path, when assets grow, when they are drawn down, and which account buckets are carrying the plan. Lifetime tax projection shows estimated taxes across the projection. It helps make taxes visible as an ongoing retirement cost, not just a year-end surprise. Users can review gross taxable income by source, ordinary income brackets, capital gains, and state taxes where applicable. RetAssure also includes Monte Carlo analysis and safe spending tools. A deterministic projection shows one expected path. Monte Carlo reruns the plan many times with randomized market and inflation paths, producing a planning risk signal rather than a guarantee. Safe spending analysis turns that risk view into a practical question: how much annual spending may fit within a target success level? This is useful when a household wants to understand whether their planned lifestyle has a comfortable margin or whether spending should be adjusted. Reports turn the active scenario into a shareable output. RetAssure can generate PDF and Excel files from the current calculation. That makes it easier to save a snapshot, prepare for a planning meeting, or revisit the assumptions later. The dashboard supports scenario management. A user can open an existing plan, copy a scenario to create a variation, rename scenarios, delete ones they no longer need, and return to prior versions. This supports RetAssure planning, where the answer usually comes from comparing alternatives over time. The account area shows the signed-in identity and security controls such as password change. RetAssure uses authenticated scenario storage, and saved scenario financial inputs are encrypted at rest. Admin and operational tools exist for authorized users, but the customer-facing experience keeps private financial inputs focused inside the user's own plan. To wrap up, RetAssure helps households and planning professionals move from uncertainty to structured analysis. It brings together retirement inputs, tax-aware withdrawals, year-by-year projections, risk testing, what-if analysis, and reports in one workflow. RetAssure is not tax, investment, legal, fiduciary, or financial advice. It is a planning tool for estimates and scenario analysis. The value is clarity. Users can see the assumptions, test the trade-offs, and have a better conversation about the road ahead. Let's spend a little more time on reports, because this is where RetAssure turns the active scenario into something a user can review, save, or bring into a planning conversation. The PDF preview is the client-ready planning packet. It gives the user a readable report based on the current scenario calculation, including the scenario summary, projected results, and the assumptions behind the plan. This is important because the report is a snapshot. If the user changes spending, Social Security timing, tax assumptions, or withdrawal strategy, they can refresh the report and create a new version of the analysis. For a deeper review, the Excel workbook preview exposes the underlying planning data. This is useful when the user, an advisor, or a family member wants to inspect the projection year by year. The summary sheet gives the big picture, major inputs, ending values, income totals, tax totals, and the key outcomes from the selected scenario. Annual detail is where the report becomes more transparent. Each row represents a planning year, with portfolio value, savings withdrawals, spending, Social Security, other income, taxes, cash after tax, and any RMDs. When you click a row, RetAssure opens the calculation detail for that year. What you needed shows the spending target and the cash required after taxes. How it was funded shows where the money came from, including income sources and savings withdrawals. Tax detail shows how federal and state taxes were calculated, including taxable withdrawals and realized capital gains when they apply. That makes reports more than an export screen. It is the handoff point from inputs and projections to a clear, reviewable explanation of the retirement plan.